The siren tore through dawn at Aviano Air Base. Italy's shrill, relentless a sound that meant only one thing: disaster in the skies. A voice cracked over the radio, urgent and raw. "Mayday, mayday. This is Raptor 3. In the shadowed hangar, Evelyn Cross, 32, froze where she stood. A wrench slipped from her hand and rang out against the concrete floor, echoing louder than it should have. Her coveralls were smeared with oil, her hair tucked under a faded cap, but her eyes told a different story. Eyes that carried fire, grief, and a secret she had fought to bury for over a decade. For 12 long years, Evelyn had locked away the call sign Blaze, along with the memory of her best friend's last cry. Blaze helped me that night had ended in flames over a desert horizon, and she had sworn never to fly again. But the roar of an F-22 outside the hangar clawed at her chest, dragging the past back into the present. Her hand twitched toward her sleeve, pulling it down to hide a tattoo scarred by time wings, wrapped in fire, etched with the code TGO11, a mark of who she was and what she had lost. She moved through the hangar like a ghost. To the other mechanics, she was only Steel Girl, the one who could fix any jet faster than the veterans. For 4 years, she had lived in the shadows, slipping in before dawn, working in silence and vanishing at dusk. But whispers followed her, respect mixed with suspicion. Hank, a grizzled mechanic with oil-stained hands, barked a laugh as he passed. "Steel Girl thinks she's too good for us. What's next, Cross? You planning to fly one of these birds?" Another younger voice joined in, Pete Lanky smirking. "Yeah, sure. A mechanic in the cockpit. That'll be the day." Their laughter cut through the hangar. Evelyn didn't answer. Her face hardened, but her hands trembled on the bolt she was tightening. Then, an F-22 screamed down the runway, slicing the Italian mist. Evelyn's eyes snapped toward it, her breath catching in her throat. The roar wasn't just noise, it was a memory. A ghost whispering her name, reminding her of the life she had abandoned. The one where Tara Quinn's voice had vanished into fire. She clenched her jaw, forced her eyes back to the engine before her, and worked in silence. But deep inside, she knew the skies had not finished with her. Not yet. Hank's eyes narrowed when Evelyn's sleeve slipped, revealing the edge of a faded tattoo. Flames curling around wings, the numbers TG082114 etched deep into her skin. "What's that?" he sneered, half mocking, half curious. "Some biker gang mark?" Evelyn yanked the sleeve down, her voice low, almost trembling. "Just a keepsake." But that ink was no idle decoration. It was a scar, a reminder of who she had once been, the Navy's rising star, call sign Blaze, and of the night it had all burned away. The desert horizon aflame, an F-18 spiraling down, Tara Quinn's voice fading into static. "Blaze, help me!" Evelyn's last order still echoing unanswered. She pulled her cap lower, hiding her eyes, but memory surged like fire in dry grass. That night, she walked away from the Navy carrying guilt like lead in her chest, vowing never to touch a cockpit again. Aviano became her refuge, the hangar her shadow. Fixing engines was safe. Flying was death. The clang of a wrench snapped her back, but Hank's barb lingered like smoke. Pete's laughter followed sharp and careless Steel Girl's tough on bolts, but she's no pilot. Leave the sky to the real ones. Evelyn's hand stilled, tightening against the rag she held. They didn't know. They couldn't know. Her mind drifted to a memory she'd buried 18 years old, standing in a Naval Academy simulator room, her uniform crisp, her heart hammering. The room smelled of metal and ozone. An instructor loomed Captain Reynolds' silver-haired eyes like cold steel. "You think you belong here? Cross flying with the best isn't for dreamers." The words cut deep, but she answered not with anger, but action. She threw the simulated jet into a high G turn, pushing the machine to its edge. The screen flashed her score 98%, a record. The room fell silent. Applause came hesitant, but the distance in their eyes remained. She was younger than the rest, a woman in a world where doubt weighed heavier than gravity. And while she won the record, she lost something else belonging. Back in the hangar, her grip faltered. Every clank of steel seemed to strike the same wound. Tara's loss, her own silence. Evelyn had proven herself before, but the price had been unbearable. Then the air changed. The echo of the siren gave way to radio chatter, sharp with panic boots, pounding against concrete radar gear, humming alive. Heads turned toward the control tower. MSgt Giulia Conti cut across the hangar, clipboard in hand. Her voice sharp, urgent. "Cross, we have a crisis." The words froze Evelyn's breath. An F-22 from the NATO Crimson Thunder exercise went down 20 minutes ago. Conti pressed her Italian accent, clipped by urgency. The pilot ejected over the Dolomites. She's alive, but the jet carried classified intel. If it's captured, this could spark more than headlines. It could ignite a war. The hangar fell silent except for the distant hum of raptors outside their shadows, stretching long in the rising sun. Evelyn wiped grease from her hands, her face a mask of calm, though her pulse pounded like war drums. Conti's eyes narrowed, searching Evelyn's face. "Our backup pilot is down with food poisoning. We have no one else. I've seen you work those F-22s. You don't just fix them, you know them. Every wire, every system, like you've flown them yourself. Cross." She stepped closer, her voice heavy with weight. "This may be our last chance to stop a catastrophe." Evelyn's breath caught. The jets outside seemed to call to her engines, rising like voices of ghosts. "I'm a mechanic sergeant," she said at last. Her voice steady but strained her hands, tightening around the rag until her knuckles turned white. "I fix planes. I don't fly them." "Schwarzer." Giulia Conti stepped closer, her voice low and unyielding. "Evelyn, I've watched you for years. You don't just fix jets. You feel them as if you've danced in their cockpits and know their heartbeat from the inside. Tell me the truth. Can you fly?" Evelyn shook her head, breath catching a flicker of panic in her eyes. "I can't," she whispered her words, nearly swallowed by the hangar's heavy hum. But memory crashed in like a wave. A desert night on fire. An F-18 spiraling downward. Tara Quinn's voice breaking through static, fading into silence with one last cry. "Blaze, help me!" Evelyn's mind screamed. I pushed too hard. She's gone because of me. The chain of guilt, 12 years old, tightened again around her heart. Conti's gaze sharpened. "Bushless, your file is too clean, like it's hiding a ghost. I've seen you outthink engineers with decades more experience. Who are you really?" Cross Evelyn turned back to the C-130, before her motions mechanical, as if building a wall to hold back the truth. But outside the F-22s, thundered on the runway, their roar like a relentless summons from a past she had fought to bury. Boots struck the concrete. Captain Owen Mercer, tall, broad-shouldered, his face, cut from stone, stepped forward with scorn dripping from every word. "You can't be serious, Conti. A mechanic in the cockpit of an F-22, she'll get us all killed." His words sliced deep, reopening scars from the academy, the doubts, the sneers, every voice that had once told her she didn't belong. Conti's reply was sharp as a whip. "She's fixed Raptors faster than your pilots can pre-flight them. She's more than you think, Mercer." Evelyn avoided Mercer's glare, her hand trembling as it pressed against the cold steel of the C-130. Outside, the F-22's shadows stretched long across the tarmac, pulling at her like the grasp of ghosts, demanding she face her fate. Then the hangar doors rattled open. Colonel Robert Harkness, base commander, entered with a presence that stilled the room like the sudden calm before a storm. A former Top Gun instructor in his late 50s, his eyes locked onto Evelyn, with unsettling weight, peeling back layers of disguise she thought she had perfected. "Cross," he said, voice steady but cutting. He held a tablet with her file. "I've been watching you. What you have isn't just skill, it's instinct. As if you've lived inside these jets, felt their pulse in the sky." Evelyn stiffened fingers brushing her sleeve where the tattoo lay hidden. Giulia's Aeon-11 wings wrapped in fire seared into her skin. "Just good with engines, sir," she murmured, her voice cracking, her armor beginning to split. Harkness's gaze softened, but his words pressed harder. "I taught at Top Gun. I know a pilot's fire when I see it. You can't hide it forever, Cross." He stepped back, leaving her alone, but the weight of his words lingered like dust in the silence. Unbidden, another memory rose. She was 10 years old, sitting under a star-lit sky beside her father, a veteran of Desert Storm. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're a flame, Evelyn. The world will try to snuff you out. Don't let it. Burn bright no matter what." The image faded, replaced by the thunder outside. Evelyn gripped the wrench in her hand, eyes drifting toward the Raptors lined up on the runway engines, howling like voices calling her home. Conti returned, voice urgent, almost pleading. 15 minutes until the search window closes. "Cross, we need you." Her heart pounded, torn between her father's words and the guilt that had chained her to the ground for 12 long years. Beneath her sleeve, the tattoo burned hot against her skin, a reminder of who she once was, and who she might have to be again. The Raptors waited their shadows long in the morning light, daring her to answer their call. The hangar's clamor ebbed until only the pounding of her heart remained. Evelyn Cross stood alone, the weight of Colonel Harkness's words. You can't hide it forever pressing against her chest. Outside, the Raptors roared their sound, cutting into her like a demand. Her fingers brushed the tattoo beneath her sleeve. TG-1. 811 wings, wrapped in flame, rough-edged and scarred by time. It was more than ink. It was a plea from the past she had buried for 12 long years. Evelyn drew a shaky breath, her eyes tracing the sleek jets, gleaming in the morning light, their shadows stretching toward her like a challenge she could no longer refuse. "I'll do it," she whispered. The words trembled, but carried the spark of resolve. Relief flickered across Giulia Conti's stern face. She thrust a flight suit into Evelyn's hands. The fabric smelled faintly of oil and sweat heavy with purpose. As Evelyn pulled it on, it clung to her like a second skin, familiar, terrifying, like stepping back into the ghost of the pilot she once was. Her pulse thundered. A memory flared, Tara Quinn's F-18 engulfed in fire, her voice breaking in Evelyn's headset, fading into silence. Evelyn clenched her jaw, forcing it down. The skies were calling. After 12 years of running, she could no longer turn away. Her father's words whispered back from a starry childhood night. "Burn bright, Evelyn." The echo steadied her trembling hands. She stepped toward the Raptor. Under the hangar lights, its polished surface glistened like a beast of steel, and flame waiting for her command. She climbed the ladder, her fingers grazing the cold metal of the cockpit. The touch sent a rush of memories through her barrel, rolls over desert skies, Tara's laughter crackling over the radio. The canopy lowered with a hiss, sealing her inside. The cockpit's glow caught her tattoo, TG-811, painting it in pale light, a promise of who she once was, and a burden she must carry again. Her breath steadied, though her pulse still raced. Each beep of the pre-flight checklist ticked like a countdown, not just to takeoff, but to the truth she could no longer deny. Lieutenant Nora Park approached, her eyes sharp with suspicion. Her voice was cold, clipped. "I don't know who you are, Cross, and frankly, I don't care. But if you screw this up, I won't forgive you." The words cut deep, a reminder of every shadow of doubt she had lived under. Evelyn didn't flinch. Her face was stone. Her hands moved with eerie precision over each switch, each lever, as if in ritual. They saw her as an outsider, a mechanic pretending. But the jet knew her fire. A pilot was awakening. Park hesitated, watching. There was something in the way Evelyn moved, graceful, instinctive, that stirred curiosity behind her doubt. Then, over the comms, Captain Owen Mercer's voice burst in sharp with contempt. "This had better not be a mistake, Park. A mechanic in a Raptor. She doesn't belong up there." His scorn stung, but Evelyn blocked it out. Her hand settled firmly on the throttle. Outside, the Raptor's engines hummed in rhythm with her heartbeat, pulling her back into the sky she had abandoned. The runway stretched before her, straight, merciless, leading back into a past of glory and grief. The tower cleared her for takeoff. The tattoo beneath her sleeve seemed to pulse, a flame reigniting. She wasn't just crossing a threshold, she was stepping into fire itself. Every doubt, every scar, every ghost would become her fuel. The camera pulled wide. 3 other Raptors weighted engines, thundering like a chorus. Evelyn's jet edged forward, her resolve hardening with every breath. The F-22 roared, catapulting her into the skies above the Dolomites. The cockpit hummed in rhythm with her racing pulse, each vibration echoing the fire she had unleashed. The world below blurred into rolling seas of green forest and jagged stone. But Evelyn's eyes, sharp, steady, despite her ghosts, locked onto the radar ahead. Beneath the cockpit light, TG-0811 glowed faintly, a reminder of the pilot she had tried to bury. She wasn't just flying. She was fighting a war within a battle to reclaim her place in the sky. The radio crackled with Park's commanding voice. "Shadow 4, maintain formation. We've got a 200-square-mile search grid. Stay sharp." Evelyn nodded, hand steady on the controls. Park's earlier warning, "If you screw this up, I won't forgive you," still lingered like a shadow. But for the first time in 12 years, Evelyn felt it, the fire alive again. The 4 F-22s swept low over the jagged ridges of the Dolomites, morning light cutting through drifting mist. Evelyn's radar flickered, the screen garbled by sudden interference. Her breath caught. For a heartbeat, fear clawed at her, but instinct sharpened long ago and Top Gun took over. Her father's words echoed across years and silence. "Adjust the frequency. Trust your fire." Evelyn's fingers flew across the console, recalibrating manually. The signal cleared, revealing a faint heat signature hidden in the static. The cockpit camera lingered on her eyes, sharpened, and unblinking the tattoo beneath her sleeve, pulsing like a heartbeat, proof of a fire long suppressed. A flicker of doubt became her spark, igniting the flame she had hidden for years. Lieutenant Diego Alvarez's voice burst over the radio, bright with awe. "Blaze, how did you pull that off? That's pure genius." The name hit her like a spark. Blaze. Warmth stirred inside, a recognition she hadn't felt since Tara's laughter filled the skies. But she forced herself to stay focused. The formation held to standard protocol: too high, too low, too slow, too predictable. Evelyn's instinct screamed for change. "Lightning 1 this is." "Shadow 4, she said, calm but firm. "Recommend we split into 3 groups. 1 high for Overwatch 2, low at staggered altitudes. Faster coverage, better terrain penetration." Lieutenant Nora Park's reply came sharp. "That's not protocol, Cross. You're a mechanic, not a tactician." Evelyn's jaw clenched, the sting of those words cutting deep, a mirror of doubts she had faced her entire career. But her voice stayed steady. "Radar shows fractured terrain. 3 groups maximize thermal range. It's like casting a wider net through fog." A tense pause. Finally, Park relented. "Fine. Shadow 4, take the low sweep. Don't make me regret this." Minutes later, Park's voice returned over a private channel. "Softer now. I may have judged you too quickly. That radar fix. Where did you learn it? You're more than a mechanic." Evelyn hesitated. Her reply was quiet, heavy with memory, told a long time ago, in a different life. Static hummed between them, then Park's voice softened further. "Someday I want to hear that story." An ally was born in the heat of the fight, her fire beginning to melt the ice of doubt. The squadron split. Evelyn's jet skimmed treetops' radar pinging faint heat signatures. Her eyes darted over the data patterns rising like muscle memory from her Top Gun days. Lightning 1 anomaly detected grid, 487-229. Ground disturbance canopy cover minimal. Matches the Raptor's profile. Park's voice cracked with surprise. "How did you spot that so fast?" Alvarez broke in excitement in his tone. "That's my Blaze. She's running this show." The call sign spread through the comms, a badge of honor. But then Capt. Owen Mercer's voice cut through venom dripping. "Who do you think you are? Cross some Top Gun legend. You didn't belong then, and you don't belong now." The words sliced deep, a flash of memory, Tara Quinn's F-18 spiraling into fire, her voice fading into Evelyn's headset. Evelyn's own orders echoing in her skull. Her heart lurched with guilt, but her hand stayed steady, guiding the jet like an extension of her body. Every doubt was a ghost. But she flew through them, her fire burning brighter. The radar pulsed louder. Hostile forces, 12 armed men in 2 convoys moving fast toward the crash site. Park's voice tightened all business. 25 minutes before they reach Rossi's jet. "Blaze your call." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. She keyed in her response, calm but fierce, proposing a low-pass flyover. Stealth engaged. No weapons, just thunder. "We spook them by time." Park answered sharp but trusting. "Do it, Blaze. Show us what you've got." Evelyn's Raptor dove the roar, splitting the sky, shaking trees below like a storm. Thermal imaging lit up 2 groups, lightly armed, coordinates clear. 48-7234, north, 8.67 east. Both groups tracked. "We can push them back," Alvarez whooped through the comms. "Blaze, you're killing it!" Park's tone shifted respect, breaking through. "Good work, Cross. Keep it tight." But Mercer snarled in the background. "Don't get cocky, mechanic. You're not one of us yet." His scorn stung, but Evelyn answered only with silence. Her jet wove low along the ridgeline resolve unshaken mission clock, ticking down. She was proving her worth in fire, but shadows of her past still loomed. Could her flame outshine them all? The Dolomites unfurled below dense canopy, swallowing light, hiding the downed Raptor like a grave waiting to be filled. Evelyn's F-22 hummed with restrained power, her tattoo glowing faintly in cockpit light. TG or Sword 811, the flame that would not die. The radar pinged hard grid, 487229. Captain Elena Rossi's emergency beacon pulsed weakly, a fragile heartbeat in the dark. Hostile forces closed in 12 armed men 20 minutes away. She had found the lost, but the true war was only beginning, one against enemies below and shadows within. Nora Park's voice crackled over the radio tense, but steady. "Blaze, we've got Rossi's position. Dislocated shoulder, rough terrain, she's in bad shape. Hostiles are closing fast. We need a plan now." Evelyn's mind ignited, Top Gun instincts breaking free from 12 years of silence. Her breath slowed, her voice cut sharp. "Lightning 1, I'll go low. Draw their fire. Stealth mode, minimal signature. You and Alvarez coordinate with the rescue bird, guide them straight to Rossi's beacon." Park hesitated. Wariness edged in her tone. "That's a suicide run, Cross. Are you sure you can handle it?" The doubt cut like a blade, an echo of every sneer and whispered question mark. From her past, a woman in the cockpit. "Not one of us." Evelyn swallowed the fear, forced her voice into steel. "I've got this. She wasn't just plotting a rescue. She was confronting the past that refused to let her go. Evelyn dipped her jet toward the treetops. The Raptor's stealth systems wrapped her in silence, cloaking her from enemy radar. The forest surged beneath her in a blur of green and shadow as she mapped their positions. 2 groups, 12 men moving fast, with grim intent. Lieutenant Diego Alvarez's voice lit up the comms. "Blaze, that low pass is brilliant. They won't know what hit 'em. Park added softer this time. Just don't get yourself shot down. We're counting on you." Their trust sparked something warm inside a feeling she hadn't allowed herself since Tara Quinn was alive. Then Capt. Owen Mercer's scorn cut through bitter and venomous, "Don't play the hero cross. You're out of your league. Mechanics don't lead missions." The words dug deep, laced with something personal Evelyn couldn't yet place. But she didn't answer. She tightened her grip on the stick, focus unshaken. Every taunt was a test, but the true battle raged within. Could she rise above the doubts that defined her? Her mind flickered to that night. Tara's jet, spiraling fire, devouring the sky. Her voice calm, even in despair. "Blaze, I'm hit. Can't eject." Then silence. Evelyn's hands trembled. Breath shallow, the cockpit's hum fading into that awful void. She whispered to herself, "If I fail again, can I live with another loss?" The tattoo beneath her sleeve seared against her skin, a brand of guilt she had carried too long. Evelyn shook her head hard, forcing the vision away, locking back onto the radar. The skies demanded her courage, but her heart trembled at the cost of failure. Park's voice broke through urgent blaze, the chopper's 10 minutes out. Hostiles are 15 from Rossi. Your move. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, her mind sharpened. A low, fast pass. No weapons, just the roar. We scatter them long enough for the pickup. She dialed her stealth tighter, the jet vanishing from enemy scopes. Then she dove the Dolomite tree line, rushing up branches, clawing at her wingtips, wind screaming across the canopy. The Raptor's shadow danced across the forest floor like a phantom. Alvarez whooped over the comms, "That's my Blaze, show 'em what you've got." But Mercer's venom followed, cold as ever. "Don't screw this up, Cross. Rossi's life is on you, and you're no hero." The pressure closed around her chest like a vice. Evelyn steadied her hands, fire flaring again as her father's voice returned. "Trust your flame, even in the dark." She was flying into the heart of danger, not just to save a life, but to reclaim the pilot she had lost, to prove her fire still burned. Evelyn's Raptor screamed through the Dolomites, skimming treetops so close the branches seemed to claw at her wings. The cockpit vibrated with raw power, its glow catching the tattoo, TG Astor 8101, pulsing like a living flame. She was deep in stealth radar, invisible, pulling the enemy's attention onto herself. 12 armed men, their vehicles tearing through the underbrush, turned their eyes, and weapons skyward at her thunderous roar. She had become the distraction, the decoy, the shield. This was no ordinary flight. It was a dance with death, where one misstep would silence her flame forever. Her hands locked on the controls breath, even despite the storm in her chest. Instinct sharpened like a blade. And through the roar, her father's words whispered again. "Burn through the fear, Evelyn." The radio came alive with Lieutenant Nora Park's voice, tense but steady. "Blaze choppers 5 minutes out. Keep those hostiles distracted." Evelyn locked her eyes on the radar, tracking the chaotic movements below. She skimmed through a narrow valley, her jet's shadow slicing over the treetops, pulling the enemy further from Captain Elena Rossi's position. Diego Alvarez's voice broke in bright and eager. "You're a beast, Blaze. They're running scared." But a sudden flash erupted on her screen. An anti-aircraft missile fired from a hidden launcher in the forest, streaking toward her with deadly speed. Evelyn's heart lurched, a flash of Tara Quinn's burning jet searing through her mind. Still, her hands moved with lightning precision. She yanked the stick into a full barrel roll engines, howling like a war cry. The missile grazed her wingtip and exploded in a fireball, below rattling the cockpit with shockwaves. Sweat beaded on her brow as she steadied the jet. She keyed the radio, her voice firm and commanding. "Chopper, you've got a clear window. 48.7234 north, 8.5567 east. Rossi is 200 meters southeast, minimal cover. Move now." The thrum of rotor blades grew closer, a lifeline cutting through the mountains. Evelyn dove again, scattering the hostiles, their formation breaking as shouts rose from the forest floor. Park's voice came back filled with awe. "Blaze, you're a genius. I was wrong about you." Alvarez whooped. "That's my Blaze. You just rewrote the playbook." Even Mercer's silence finally broke his voice, grudging. "Not bad, Cross. But don't think this makes you one of us yet." The words stung, but Evelyn's focus held. Quiet pride rose in her chest as the mission pressed forward. Below, the chopper's lights pierced the canopy as it set down. Medics rushed to Rossi's beacon, moving fast against the darkness. Evelyn circled above radar, clear hand steady despite the ghost of Tara's last words echoing in her mind. "Blaze, help me." Another memory pushed through her father, his Desert Storm wings glinting in the sunlight, his voice strong. "Your fire is your strength, Evelyn." The thought steadied her grip. The chopper lifted off Rossi, safe on board. Evelyn climbed higher, the forest fading below. The radio filled with relief, respect, a chorus of voices calling her name Blaze. But her eyes stayed fixed on the horizon, her tattoo glowing faintly in the cockpit light, a quiet testament to the fire reborn within her. She touched down at Aviano Air Base as dusk settled, engines fading to a low hum. The hangar doors loomed wide, the air thick with oil and triumph. Evelyn stepped from the cockpit, her flight suit clinging like a second skin, sweat-streaked and worn. The tattoo on her arm caught the last golden rays of sun, its flame and wings alive once more. The mission was complete. Captain Rossi safe, the classified intel secured. Applause erupted, thunderous and raw, washing over her like a wave she hadn't felt in 12 years. Alvarez slapped her shoulder, grinning wide. "Blaze, you're a legend." Park nodded with quiet respect. "You saved us all, Cross. More than I ever expected." A group of pilots offered her a beer, the old ritual of survival and victory. But Evelyn hesitated. Her eyes drifted distant, the weight of her secret pressing down. At the edge of the hangar, Mercer lingered, silent and cold, his gaze unreadable. Her heart raced, not from the cheers, but from the fear of what still lay hidden. She reached into her flight suit and touched an old, crumpled letter. The faded handwriting was her father's. "Your flame will light the way for others." Her eyes misted, a single tear tracing down her cheek as she folded it back into her pocket. The memory of his proud smile steadied her once more. She had conquered the skies, but the ground still held truths waiting to break her or finally set her free. In the briefing room, Colonel Robert Harkness stood before the tactical display, his face carved in quiet intensity. The team gathered, their energy still burning from the mission's success. Evelyn's hands fidgeted under the table, the tattoo hidden beneath her sleeve. Harkness's eyes narrowed. "Cross," he said, voice low but unyielding. "Show me your wrist." Her breath caught. Slowly she rolled up her sleeve. The flame-wreathed wings of TGOM-1 glowed faintly under the fluorescent light. Harkness tapped his tablet, pulling up classified records. His expression shifted from suspicion to awe. Evelyn Cross. Call sign Blaze. Youngest Top Gun graduate in 2011. Nominated for the Silver Star for tactical brilliance. You vanished after a training accident. Why, the room fell silent. Alvarez leaned forward, his voice almost a whisper. Blaze, the Top Gun legend. Park scrolled her device, disbelief in her tone. Highest evasion scores in history. At 20 years old, Evelyn's voice trembled, but she forced the words out. I failed someone I loved. A friend I couldn't save. The storm of her secret broke over them. Owen Mercer stepped forward, anger twisting his face. Your Blaze, Tara Quinn, died because of you. The revelation struck like thunder. Evelyn reeled back into the memory of Tara's funeral. Mercer's cold glare, a mother's voice asking why. Guilt flooded her chest like a tide threatening to drown her. Her blood's on your hands, Mercer spat. Park's voice cut through. Hold on. Let's get the facts. Harkness and Park dug into the files. The truth surfaced. The crash had stemmed from a hidden engine defect, covered up by Commander Nathan Brooks to protect his career. An email exposed his deception. Harkness confronted him over a live video call. The man, now a grizzled instructor, stammered until the truth spilled out. I let her carry the blame. I needed a shield. I never thought she'd quit. Evelyn's eyes burned, not with tears, but with a fire reignited. You made me carry her death for 12 years. I ran, but Blaze never died. Harkness slid a folder across the table. The Navy needs you, Cross. Lead the Blaze initiative. Train the next generation to carry your fire. Park grasped her hand. You're one of us now. And we've got your back, Alvarez shouted with joy. Blaze is back. Even Mercer's anger softened his voice low. I was wrong. Tara would have been proud. Forgive me. Evelyn met his gaze, the burden lifting at last. A tear traced her cheek as she nodded. That evening, she stood before a new class of young pilots at Aviano, the sunset painting the sky in gold. Her tattoo glowed like a badge of honor. My father flew in Desert Storm, she told them. He taught me that no matter how the world tries to snuff you out, you burn bright. Don't let fear or doubt extinguish your flame. The world needs it. On the runway, a squadron of Raptors taxied into place, engines humming like a chorus. Evelyn climbed into the lead jet, her team following close behind. Together, they soared into the fiery horizon, stars reborn against the twilight. The screen faded to a single line. Some flames are hidden until the world demands they burn again. And then her voice carried one last invitation. Have you found your flame against the odds? Share your story. Pass it forward. Join the Blaze legacy. This is more than just a story about fighter jets and hidden pasts. It is a tale of redemption, resilience, and the courage to face down guilt and rise again. At its heart, it is both entertainment and education, a reminder of the sacrifices, the burdens, and the quiet fires people carry within. For our community, it is meant to inspire, to show that no matter how far we fall, our strength can be reborn, not just for ourselves, but for others who look to us for hope. If this story moved you, I invite you to keep the flame alive. Like this video, share it with someone who needs courage today. Leave a comment with your own story of resilience and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can keep building a community where stories heal, inspire, and ignite new generations.